Republican Congressman Steve King of Iowa is now facing calls to be removed as head of a House subcommittee following a controversial social media post. Over the weekend, King caused a stir by voicing his support for the views of a far-right Dutch politician. He shared a story from the Voice of Europe website about Dutch politician Geert Wilders, who has called for banning the Quran and ending Muslim immigration in the Netherlands. King tweeted, quote, "Wilders understands that culture and demographics are our destiny. We can't restore our civilization with somebody else's babies." King's position drew the support of David Duke, a self-proclaimed white nationalist and former KKK member. Duke tweeted, quote, "God bless Steve King."
We're gonna make America great again. Make America great again, yeah.
All right, guys. It's Earl here, your AC Dad, and thank you for listening to Out of the Wild, the AC Dad in America podcast. It's been a minute. It's been a couple of weeks, actually. We had the holidays, and a lot has happened since then. A whole lot. And to discuss some of that, I have my very good friend, Chris Schramm. Say hello to the people, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
Chris Schramm is joining us via Skype from somewhere deep in South Carolina, the darkest regions.
Absolutely. As far south as you can go.
As far south as South Carolina, it gets dangerous down there, I understand.
Yeah.
So I haven't been on the air for a couple of weeks, Chris. Why don't you, no one knows you. I know you, and maybe some of the people who listen, but why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself, Chris?
Yeah, so I'm from Hilton Head, South Carolina. Earl and I actually met at Belmont Abbey. We were in Sigma Alpha together.
Sigma
Alpha. And, yeah, we, kind of went through Belmont Abbey together. I actually transferred and graduated from South Carolina after Belmont Abbey. But, he was one of my first friends there, and he's been awesome. We have great, not only political talks, sports talks, music talks.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I wanted to bring you on. Oh, thank you for saying I'm awesome. I appreciate you're pretty awesome, too.
Absolutely.
That's why I wanted to bring you on, because you're actually the first person, if I had a drum roll, I don't know if you picked that up, but you're the first person I've had on the show who's actually not a liberal, really, and whose opinions don't really align with mine in a lot of ways, but there's a lot that we agree on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I think, and especially over the years, some of our political ideologies have aligned. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff fiscally and more fiscally than socially. But yeah, I identify as a conservative. I don't know necessarily a Republican, but
right.
Definitely I have some conservative leanings.
We'll get to that. Let's talk about we'll lead up to the politics, but first I want to start with sports. Did you watch the games on Sunday?
Yes, and I'm sorry about your Eagles.
It's okay. I'm a huge Eagles fan, and I'm sad about it. It was a heartbreaker. I thought for a second that we were going to win 2 games 2 weeks in a row on a missed field goal, but alas, that was not the case.
And it was a South Carolina Gamecock, Alshon Jeffrey, who dropped the pass.
He was a South Carolina Gamecock. Yeah. He was also a Chicago Bear, right?
Yeah. But
and the Saints, when we played the Saints last time, they whooped our ass. This time the game was obviously a lot closer, but I mean, we were 1 play away from winning that thing.
I'm hoping deep down though. I don't tell many people, but I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan.
You just told a lot of people.
Yeah. I'm hoping Nick Foles decides he wants to come to Cincinnati, and I'll go pack Andy Dalton's bags personally and take him wherever he goes.
Andy Dalton will end up in Miami. There's a lot of places where Nick Foles. I've heard a lot of different fans say they wish Nick Foles. I've heard Miami fans say they want him. I've heard Raiders fans say they want him. Bengals fans say they want him. I mean, there's a lot of places he could go and possibly do well. Where do you think he ends up, or what do you think Nick Foles' future is?
I think he goes somewhere like Miami, somewhere where, they got a lot of cap space. They got a good team around them.
Yeah.
But Cincinnati's it's a long shot. They don't have the roster anymore. 3 or 4 years ago when we had AJ Green and Mohamed Sanu and Jeremy Hill and everyone.
That one TJ Houshmandzadeh? No, that was before that.
Yeah, but he was there.
Yeah, TJ Houshmandzadeh.
Yeah, I don't think he stays in Philly.
As a backup, no. And they're not going to get rid of Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Even though I think Nick Foles, I'm going to go on record as saying this, Nick Foles is more reliable than Carson Wentz. Some people are saying he's a better quarterback. I don't know if I'm going to say that, but I definitely think he's more reliable than Carson Wentz. And he doesn't get injured.
How he performs under pressure, too. I mean, there's not many quarterbacks in the league that...
There's literally no one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's no one.
Yeah. Well, Tom Brady.
It's Tom Brady. But Tom Brady, has he ever really been the underdog, though? Not since the beginning of his career. He came off the bench once, and that was it. Nick Foles has done it 2 years in a row. Yeah, he came off the bench one time and never went back, and he's never been he's been dominant ever since. Yeah. Nick Foles somehow... Nick Foles is a folk hero, man. Nick Folk.
Maybe he needs to go to Buffalo for a year. Nathan Peterman.
I can't help but feel like Nick Foles is like in the twilight of his career, though, for some reason. Like, he's a young guy, but I feel like what else is he gonna do? He's a Super Bowl MVP. Like, he's a backup. Like, I'm afraid that he's gonna get on a team and be a starter and then suck again. But then again, when he sucked, it was on the Rams and it was under I can't think of the guy's name. Jeff Fisher, the quarterback whisperer.
Yeah.
Literally, I think he's had one successful quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't work out there. I mean, look at LA now. But
the same thing happened with was Nick Foles and Case Keenum.
Yeah.
And Jeff Fisher tried to ruin their careers. And if it weren't for Andy Reid, Nick Foles would have retired, and the Eagles probably wouldn't have a Super Bowl. So thank you, Andy Reid, we'll always be thanking Andy Reid. All right, so who are your Super Bowl picks? So before we say that, this weekend we have the playoff games. We have, what is it, the Chiefs versus the Patriots.
Yep.
And we have the Saints versus the Rams. So it's 1-2 versus 1-2. So who do you think? AFC.
I go with the Rams. Oh, in the AFC, I got to go with the Chiefs. I got to go with Patrick Mahomes Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I would like to. My heart says Chiefs. My head says Patriots.
Yeah, I love the Chiefs.
I do too. I do too. I think he's great. He also got me a ton of points in fantasy this year. Ton.
Yeah, it was. I remember at the beginning of the year when they got rid of Alex Smith, and everybody was, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And Andy Reid just said, "Just wait."
Yeah, watch this.
Yeah.
Watch this. Now let's see if Andy Reid can break the curse, because Bill Belichick has had Andy Reid's number for a long time.
Yeah.
A long time. Okay, on the NFC, Saints or Rams?
I got to go with AJ Scales and the Saints.
AJ Scales and the Saints leading them forward. I would love to see the Saints. Now, see, if it's Saints Patriots, I'm obviously rooting for the Saints. But if it's Saints Chiefs, that's tough, because I love Andy Reid, and I feel like I have to stay loyal. Patrick Mahomes did me a favor and got me so many fantasy points, so I have to stay loyal.
It's cool though. This is the year. These are clearly the 4 best teams.
Oh yeah, I don't think
people usually pull for Cinderella, but
there's not one there. These are the elite. And honestly, I think the Saints, out of all the games, I think the Saints look the best.
Yeah, they went 4 months without losing a game.
Yeah, and they were down 4. They started the game 14-0. Not that that's, the Patriots obviously came back in the Super Bowl against the Falcons, what was it, 28-3? But I'm just saying, like, they started off 14-0. They reset. They came back strong, put up 28 unanswered points against a pretty good Eagles team. And they just looked professional the whole time doing it. They didn't lose any games going into the playoffs. I think maybe they lost the game where they benched all their starters. But aside from that, they were triumphant. So I agree with you. I think the Saints are going to the Super Bowl. It's hard for me to pick between. I can't pick against the Patriots, so I'm going to say Saints Patriots, and I think the Saints win.
Yeah, I think whoever comes out of the NFC is going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
agree. Okay, you're a South Carolina fan, right?
Yeah, Gamecock grad.
Go ahead. That's right. You graduated from there. So how does it make you feel to see Clemson whoop up on Alabama a couple weeks ago?
The only word that comes to mind is devastating.
Yeah.
Most people outside of the state that don't follow the rivalry just think, you got to pull for the state and you want the state to do well. I don't want.
No. Right.
And then,
right. That's like me pulling for the Steelers.
Yeah. Yeah, I would never pull for Pittsburgh. I would never pull for Baltimore.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it's like the Yankees and the Red Sox,
So you were pulling, yeah, exactly. Oh God, I couldn't imagine a situation I pull for the Red Sox. Yeah, I hate the Red Sox. In case anyone's wondering.
I'm a Red Sox.
I know. It's so crazy how we get along so well.
Yeah.
But the thing about Clemson, though, if you kind of divorce yourself, like from an emotional perspective as a fan, Clemson, I think in that game they arrived as a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Like as a powerhouse, like they are. The last 3 years they won one. Okay, Clemson's coming along, but they went out there and dominated, and their quarterback is something else. Trevor,
Sunshine?
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, he is something special. Tua's good too, but Trevor Lawrence he's something else. He's got 2 more years. The SEC has 2 more years to have to deal with him.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, it's not. I don't think a lot of people realize this isn't an overnight thing. I think Dabo Swinney's been at Clemson 10, 11 years, and there were years where he was 7-6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he has been there for a while. That's true. I mean, Clemsoning was a thing up until like 3 years ago.
Yeah, and the guy who coined that, Kirk Herbstreit, his 2 sons are actually walking on the Clemson's football team next year.
Oh, really?
And it's funny how life comes full circle.
Yeah, it really is. Kirk Herbstreit. Didn't he go to Ohio State?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So now his boys are going to Clemson. I mean, Clemson's the best program in the country, so if you can get on Clemson, go to Clemson.
If we could get this over, like the Clemson dynasty over with, that'd be
Well, unfortunately for you, buddy, I think it's just beginning.
Yeah. And we compete with Georgia every year. That's our other big rival.
And Georgia, I mean, Georgia's a questionable team to me. Like, sometimes they look like they're just a powerhouse, dominant, fitting to be champion, and then they lose by like 80 points in a bowl game.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. All right.
It's tough sledding, but yeah.
Yeah, it's Jordan. I feel like Georgia is always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah, and we're big enough to admit we're the little brother to Georgia, and every time the little brother can get a couple good punches in and beat them every few years.
Yeah, that's the extent of it, though. I mean, it's not just Georgia. Oh, SEC. I mean, you have to deal with Georgia. You have to deal with Alabama. You have to deal with every like 3 years. LSU is pretty good. Like
Florida.
Florida, yeah, Florida occasionally can be good. And unfortunately, I feel like the Gamecocks haven't been really good in like a while.
Yeah. When I was there, it was funny. I was at South Carolina for 2 football seasons, and we lost 1 home game. We won 22 in a row.
Wow.
That was when like Jadeveon Clowney and
over
there.
Right.
So
now since then,
boy, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. What year was that? The last year?
2011 and 2012.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That seems like an eternity ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the last time South Carolina was even remotely good. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't they lose a big bowl game?
Women's basketball were national champions.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take that. I will take that if I was a. All right, so we softened them up with some talks about sports and football and stuff. Now let's step into fun stuff. Trump. Speaking of Clemson and Trump.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did. It's they brought out the fancy silverware dishes for it.
I was just going to say, you were talking about gilded. Like, is there another definition of gilded? Like, literally, it's like he took a shit and put some gold sprinkles on it.
Yeah, and he was proud too.
Oh, he was so proud. He was gloated. All I could think about while I watched that is like, these are athletes.
Like, yeah, when he came out and said like these are their favorite foods, like those are highly trained athletes. I don't think they go home and suck down McDonald's and Wendy's every day.
It just looked so gross. Like, it just looked disgusting. Okay, so as we said in the beginning, you identify as a conservative. Maybe not necessarily Republican, but you're conservative. Would you consider yourself a never Trumper?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think one of my favorite politicians, not just today but of all time, is John Kasich, and I kind of look up to him. And he was one of the biggest never Trumpers, not just because of the election in 2016, but he's kind of stayed the course, and he's one of the ones, along with both the Bushes, are never Trumpers, and Condoleezza Rice, and there's a lot of famous people that are, and I kind of identify with him. Like, he doesn't represent all conservatives, and I think that's it's tough for a lot of conservatives these days because you want to hold your conservative beliefs, but with him in office, it's hard to.
Well, do you consider? See, here's the thing: as anyone who listens, as you know well, and anyone who listens to the show, I'm obviously a liberal. I consider myself. For the sake of giving myself a title, I consider myself a liberal. But having said that, I think that there's something. Obviously, you have to have a counterweight to everything. You can't have too much left, too much right. So I think there's something to be said about, obviously, conservatism is important as an ideology, a political ideology, to maintain that balance in society. However, I don't even think Trump represents conservatism.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any, not that he's a liberal, but I don't understand. I don't see conservative. It's like he's so far outside the traditional spectrum that it's not. I don't even know what to call it. It's just Trump.
Yeah, and it's some of the stuff he's done with the tariffs and everything. Those aren't conservative beliefs.
No.
Tariffs. That is as far from a conservative ideologies as you can get, but it's either his way or the highway with a lot of things. And unfortunately, it gets in the way of smaller government, and our debts is ballooned, the government's getting bigger. And
well, that's what I was about to say. The deficit is going up from these tax cuts and tariffs.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's signs that obviously the economy eventually has to slow down. It's been doing so well, but a lot of economists are saying this year we might even go back into a recession.
Yeah.
Or into 2020, and the tariffs and the taxes and tax cuts and all that stuff is not helping.
Yeah, this whole how he's handling America first, and people are going to respect us again. They're not going to respect us.
They don't. It's been 2 years. Yeah, they don't.
If they don't, if we completely cut off trade with China and all these countries where you have billions and billions of dollars worth of trade, people just stop. That's how you completely halt economies, and that's how depressions happen.
Right. That's isolationism.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that are his ardent supporters don't have the foresight to see that. I think, they get riled up with what he says every day at rallies. And
I think you're being really nice when you use the word foresight. I don't think it's foresight, the word. They refuse to see it. I got into a debate. Debate, again, is a word I use loosely. But a conversation with somebody, and they're still talking about, what about the Clinton Foundation? What about Hillary's emails? Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: as a conservative, as a never Trumper, as someone who's voted for mostly, if not almost entirely, Republicans, since you could vote, what does conservatism look like moving into 2020 and beyond?
Yeah, I've said it to you many times. I don't think Trump either makes it to 2020 or doesn't run in 2020. I think he's either going to get impeached or he's going to step aside because of either the collusion or something. The taxes.
There's so many things to pick from.
Yeah, so I think they need to find. It's tough because people want to keep going further right, or left. You got to find a moderate, and you got to find someone who's willing to step across the aisle. And,
I think that there's something to be said about stepping across the aisle. I don't know. I would have to disagree with you on the moderate. And then the question is, how can anyone really be a moderate? Like, some people like to say that Nikki Haley is a moderate. I know you have some affection for her, but last time we talked about her, I pointed out to you that she's a big fan of with Jair Bolsonaro, from the tyrant from Brazil.
Yeah.
So, like, is she a moderate? John Kasich, someone, okay, I've said this to you before. John Kasich kind of reminds me of George Bush. She'll be like, I shouldn't even say that because George Bush did some shit. But John Kasich is kind of your run-of-the-mill Republican. He wouldn't have been my preference, but I would have been okay with him as a president. But that brand, that ideology of republicanism, of conservatism, is not the winning brand in America today. I felt if someone if Kasich or Haley or whomever primaries Trump, I think no matter, even if at that point Trump will be even more beleaguered if he's even running. But his people, he'll still win the election, probably the primary.
In a landslide. He mopped up everyone in 2016. He's got the rhetoric that gets the people that just aren't, I hate to say not smart, but just don't understand the whole spectrum of what's going on, and they just listen to what he says, takes it at face value, and then either don't do their research or
or use the research to justify whatever.
Whatever false, like whatever terrible beliefs they have.
But I feel like here's the problem with that. It isn't isolated. Like, it's not like it's like the 30% who are Trump supporters. Like, he's the most popular Republican president of all time.
Yeah.
So why is that? Why are your fellow Republicans, why do they love him so much? I've been wondering this for 2 years, longer than that.
I think the best answer is someone who doesn't support him. It's just, I think it's the way he bullies people. I think people, I don't think people don't cheer for a bully, but I don't think a lot of people realize that, you are the bully, and they agree with him because he pushes people over, and he hits hot button topics, and he makes fun of people, and that's right, when he said Marco had little hands, and people get a rise out of it, and he gets a rise out of people, and then he keeps attacking people. And I think.
Do you think we need a wall?
No, but I think there needs to be, open borders don't work, and I think most people would agree with that. Yeah. What is the solution of a $5 billion wall? It's shutting down the government. It's 800,000 people are without a paycheck now, over less than 1% of the national budget. Somebody needs to. It's a dick measuring contest right now.
Yeah, well, and there's only one person with their dick out.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Like, it would be different if there was like a fight back and forth. But a few weeks ago, the Republicans, the Senate, 100 senators approved a continuing resolution to fund the government at the current levels. There was a story. Suzanne Collins was walking out of her office with her ready to go on vacation, and someone told her that Trump wasn't going to sign it, and she dropped her bag and was like, "Are you ruining my life right now?" Because they were all expecting Trump to sign it. So, like I said, it's not. There's so many problems I feel like with this. The government, as we speak, we're in the longest government. I think it's day 24 of the shutdown. It's the longest government shutdown in American history, and none of the areas that are shut down have anything to do with border security. Most of them, at least, don't.
Yeah.
Like TSA agents, food, FDA, like all these different areas, people aren't getting paid because this all reminds like in all the Batman movies and cartoons, the bad guys always hijack the airwaves.
Yeah.
Like that's what this reminds me of. Like Trump's like, no one's getting anything till I get my wall.
like the football game.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I was checking the news yesterday. I'm giving the government back to you.
Yeah, the people.
I saw someone got on an airplane yesterday all the way to Europe with a gun.
Yeah. I think it was Tokyo. Either
Tokyo.
way, it doesn't. Not that matters.
It was international.
Yeah, the international flight, and it was in their because you can actually, if I'm not mistaken, in this country, you can have a gun in your you can actually have weapons in your check baggage.
Your check bag, yeah, and you have to declare it, or you have to have the proper paperwork. And
this guy had the gun in his carry-on.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, the CEO of Delta Airlines said it's going to cost them $20 million a month for the shutdown.
Jesus.
I mean, yeah, it's really going to start. I don't think people realize how much every day.
Oh, it's going to start. Yeah. I tried to call the IRS, and in case anyone's wondering, you can't really get a hold of the IRS right now either.
Yeah.
So I had some tax money I need to call and try to figure out to make a payment plan on, and they're like, "Sorry, we're closed."
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah,
so, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When he said people will figure it out, like with family, you can't just figure it out. You know, right. I mean, you can't just.
Now, as with anything else that he said, I can say this with, but like specifically with this, really with anything, but with this, imagine if Obama said that.
Yeah.
Imagine how people would be losing their mind. I could just see Paul Ryan's little sniveling ass standing up there talking about how cruel the president is for saying people will figure it out.
Oh, absolutely. There'd be riots.
They would be going crazy. And again, you could apply it to literally anything Trump does if you say that if Obama did it. It's just amazing the double standard. Now, here's something that's interesting. And this is kind of lead up to the next set of questions. Democrats are thinking about using their subpoena powers to get the interpreters who sat in on meetings between Trump and Putin. Yeah. This is unprecedented. But equally unprecedented are the lengths to which Trump is going to conceal the details of those conversations, which could be illegal under the Freedom of Information Act and all the other, disclosures, presidential disclosures and stuff like that. And it could be illegal just about every other fucking thing that he does. Why do you think, and I kind of touched on this a second ago, but why do you think, not necessarily Republicans, but what is it about his most ardent supporters that they just deny the fact that he is breaking laws, has broken laws, continues to break laws, continues to blatantly lie about breaking these laws? When we talked a few weeks ago about, when we were kind of doing the pre-thing for the show, I mentioned how I made a joke about how you probably know a lot of Trump supporters, and you said something like, well, not as many as you would think, but you know more than I do.
Absolutely.
You know more than I do. You probably, you live in, Hilton Head, South Carolina, which is conservative. Not that Fort Mill isn't, but you definitely know more than I do. How do they justify continuously? I mean, and I know how to justify fake news, all that stuff, but do they really believe that?
I think they do. If you have one news source, if the only thing you watch is, Fox News, and that's all you watch, and then the only thing you listen to is what he says, you do start drinking I'm sure they start drinking the Kool-Aid,
Sure, I mean, they absolutely do.
Yeah. If someone tells you you're a good basketball player after 3 years, you're going to start thinking it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get so close-minded and you hear the same thing every day, sooner or later people are going to start, that's going to turn into your belief.
I just can't, but I feel like the unfortunate thing is people like you get a bad name.
Yeah.
People who are good, again, we may disagree fundamentally, but we've always been friends. I've never felt that your beliefs like infringed upon my freedoms. I feel like the beliefs of a lot of these Trump supporters essentially infringes upon the freedoms of other people.
I think a lot of them are scared to change. I think a lot of them don't like to see, where America's heading. I don't think they like the multiculturalism. I think
they definitely don't. I
don't think that
segue. Yeah, that's what, and that's another thing. What's the fear?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to beat around the bush, but it's obviously like it's not like it's basically a single group of people, predominantly Caucasian males, who vote for Trump in large numbers, women too, but predominantly men, and they seem to be the ones who are most afraid of the change of the future. The younger, more brown, more woman. And here's my thing about the whole immigration thing. Like, I don't know about you, but I can probably answer this. Has an immigrant ever snuck in your house and killed your family?
No.
Not mine either.
Yeah.
It's weird. In fact, I don't know anyone who's been murdered by immigrants.
Yeah. I think, I agree 100%, but I think, open borders doesn't work. There needs to be a.
But I agree with you 100%. And it's not, we don't, here's the other thing. Border crossings are like at a 50-year low?
Yeah.
We have, we militarized the border essentially. Trump has.
He sent troops down there, and I don't think there's a humanitarian crisis down there.
No.
I know there's not.
The humanitarian crisis is in the White House.
Yeah.
Those burgers. Hamburgers, as he spelled them. Berders.
Well, it's Clemson.
That's true. That's all they deserve. Yeah. I'm just kidding. So here's kind of a related question. How and why do you think Trumpism, the Trumpism brand, the Trump brand of conservatism, the big gold gilded brand of conservatism, how is it that it spread so quickly to the Republican Party? To me, it would seem that like the things like Trump's biggest thing is immigration, the evil immigrants. It would seem that there was a lot of, in order for the wildfire of Trumpism to have spread through Republicanism so quickly, it seemed like the stems of these belief hats have already been there, and he just kind of gave voice to it.
I think it's a lot of, like you said, he's the most popular Republican president in history. Yeah. I think the way he handles it and the way he goes around yelling and demanding stuff, I think a lot of people were worried, either hop on the bus or you're going to be left out to dry. And I think
run over.
Forced a lot of people's hands. It's unfortunate. I don't know if they all believe him. They all might, love him. But I think he went in there demanding. They saw his popularity. They saw, I think he went in with a steamroller and said, you either hop on or get rolled over. So I think a lot of people, unfortunately, jumped on the bandwagon, and now they realize how bad it is.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
I know hindsight's 20/20, but that's where I think some of them are at, and I think some of them really do believe it. And I think he's the one who came out and said all this stuff. And
I think what's interesting, I think, is that I think that there's some to what you're saying. I'm sure there's tons of supporters of his who no longer support him. Obviously, his approval ratings are like steadily declining over the last few months, especially since the border wall crisis, the government shutdown. So obviously, I think there's some people who are turning against him, and I've heard stories that there's congressmen and senators who backed him previously who were expressing regret.
Yep,
which is great. But they're still like voting for his initiatives. They're still pushing his judges through. They're still basically enabling his presidency.
Yeah.
And having said that, what the fuck is up with your boy Lindsey Graham?
Yeah, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
He was best friends with John McCain, who was one of the best conservatives in history, and he stood so long against Trump that all of a sudden, it almost seemed like John McCain died and he left and hopped on the Trump train.
Oh, yep.
I mean, it's honestly like John McCain died, and he's like, well, I got to go find a new best friend, and Trump's dead. It's heartbreaking because I loved Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
But like what he said and how he's acted and what he's done now,
it's befuddling.
Yeah.
It really is. Here's a very pointed question for you. Do you think Trump is a Russian agent or asset?
I don't think he's a Russian agent. I think there was collusion. I honestly, every time he said something about it, I think about it. I look at it as like someone who cheated on their spouse.
Which he's done that too.
And you keep digging a hole to try to get out of it, and you just lie and make up so many lies for so long. I think they influenced him. I think they gave him info on Hillary, and I think he's trying to look for the fall guy. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, he's trying so hard to cover it up. If you have nothing to hide, then why do you bring it up every day? Just let it play out, and you'll be fine.
He can't let it go.
Yep.
I
think Donald Trump Jr. is going to end up being the fall guy, and I think he's going to end up. Somebody in the immediate family is going to serve jail time, whether it's Kushner Jr. Michael Cohen's already in jail.
Michael Cohen's about to testify before Congress.
Yeah. I mean, I think he thought Cohen was going to shut his mouth, but
Cohen's the type of guy who records his clients, so he's definitely not going to shut his mouth.
Yeah.
I listen. If you have time, I suggest. I know you're not a big fan of Rachel Maddow, but I would suggest checking out her podcast called Bagman, which is about Spiro Agnew. And there's another one from Slate called Slow Burn, which the second season is about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky and all that, but the first season is about Watergate. And the Spiro Agnew thing and the Watergate, both of those podcasts, Bagman and Slow Burn, kind of go together. I didn't know how much of a crook Spiro Agnew was. Yeah. He was taking bribes when he was the governor or something of Maryland. He was taking bribes and extorting people all the way up until the time he was in the White House, and they finally caught up with him. And what happened, which is what happened with Nixon, despite the crimes they committed, they were both able to resign. Spiro Agnew's arrangement was that he would resign. He would never set foot in a prison, and he never did. He just kind of faded into obscurity. Honestly, most people, even our age, probably don't even know much about. I didn't know anything about Spiro Agnew until I listened to that podcast. I wasn't surprised, of course, that he was a crook, but I didn't know anything about him until I listened to that podcast. So he just kind of faded into obscurity, which I don't think Trump will do, but I do think maybe even sometime this year, early next year or something, he'll be given the opportunity to resign and avoid jail time or face being indicted, and that question is still up in the air. I personally think, and a lot of legal scholars agree, a president can be indicted if committed crimes. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you commit crimes, absolutely, and you should be held accountable. No one's above the law. Yeah. If you break the law and it's deserving of jail time, absolutely. But I think you're right. He's gonna make a plea deal. Yeah. He's not gonna serve jail time. But have you ever seen National Treasure, the movie?
Yeah.
At the end, when they're talking to Nicolas Cage, he said, "I really don't want to go to jail." They said it's a crime. Someone has to go, and that's what that's going to be like. Someone has to be held accountable if it's all found true, And who's he going to let? Is he going to let his son go to jail? His son-in-law?
Probably. Donald Trump, and honestly, the thing about Nixon, the thing about Nixon and Spiro Agnew, for all of their criminal activities and how scummy they were, at least they weren't like colluding with a foreign government.
Yeah.
Like this isn't just taking extortions and shaking people down or breaking into headquarters to find out information. This is allegedly colluding with the sworn enemy, not just to the United States as a country, but to our entire ideological system.
Yeah.
Democracy, capitalism, however you feel about it, that's what that's doing. He aligned himself. That's a traitor. How are we not talking more about that? Again, imagine if Obama did that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They call Obama a traitor because they suspected he was born in Kenya.
Which is absolutely, and then they found out his middle name was Hussein, and that became a huge conspiracy.
Oh my God, it's so funny. They hated Obama for accidents of birth, him being black, him being named Barack, all those different things. Yeah. They're totally okay with the completely intentional things that Trump does every day.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's we're gonna keep it going. I'm gonna say a quote to you. You tell me who you think it's from.
Okay.
Cultural suicide by demographic transformation must end.
Wow.
You know that one? Here's another one. White nationalists, white supremacists, Western civilization. How did that language become offensive?
That has Steve King written all over it.
Steve King written all over it.
Yeah.
How is he still condoned?
Yeah. No. And, he got all his power taken away.
His committee appointments.
I don't know how Iowa doesn't just impeach him and take him out of. I don't know who he represents, what district he's from, what the demographic breakdown is, but there is no way. I mean, that's KKK stuff that he said.
Yeah, man, they had those words posted up places. I think
that's 1950s, like Deep South.
Yeah,
and I don't know how he got elected. And he represents he's obviously popular enough.
Well, he only won a small. He won narrowly, I should say.
Yeah.
Not that he won a small number of votes by any means, but he won a narrow election. But I think the problem for me with Stephen King isn't so much Steve King. I love Stephen King.
Yeah.
I have no problem with Stephen King.
Yeah, what's your problem with him?
The problem with Steve King isn't so much, it's him obviously, but the bigger problem to me is that all of a sudden people are like concerned. Like all of a sudden not people, but Republicans are like alarmed. Like he's been saying racist shit for a long time.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're like, oh, we have to strip you of your powers now because the Democrats won the House.
Yeah.
And because you're saying it louder, now everyone, you know what I'm saying? Like that white supremacist, white nationalist, white supremacist Western civilization, how did this language become offensive? That comment isn't even as bad as some of the other things he said. He said, what was it? We can't like basically perpetuate our nation by taking care of other people's babies. I'm paraphrasing there, but he said something along those lines. I just don't get, why do you think the Republican Party has endured this bullshit for so long?
Yeah, I don't think there's been anyone that's been strong enough or brave enough to come out and just say like people like me, like you said earlier. I think it's being a white male, conservative. I think sometimes I do get grouped into that, like it's tough. It takes someone.
You'd be like, no, I don't feel that way, y'all. I'm not racist. So you have to justify your opinions.
Yeah. I don't want to have to go out to a conversation and talk to someone about politics. Like I'm not a racist.
Right. Yeah, because the only people who say that are usually racist.
Like I said, if you have to start a sentence with "I'm not racist," but
right, but I'm racist is the only suitable next part.
Yeah, it's it takes someone radical to change like the way conservatives are going to start voting, and until he gets impeached and he gets put out of power, and they show people with that ideology that that's not okay. And you're not going to get elected. So
what does that look like, though? I have a couple of questions, and I think I asked you this a couple of weeks ago too. If I'm a Republican, really anyway, this is what really surprises me about Lindsey Graham isn't his being a sycophant, because Lindsey Graham, he's been bipartisan. He was friends with John McCain. I have a lot of respect for John McCain, but he's always been kind of an opportunist. Okay, he's always been like when Obama got elected, he was up in Eric Holder's office.
Yeah.
Same with Boyd. Like he's always been an opportunist, and maybe you call reaching across the line, maybe you call it opportunist, whatever. So, but either way, he's a politician. So I can't begrudge him being an opportunist. Most politicians are. What's confusing to me though is if you're Lindsey Graham, if you're a somewhat popular Republican, right, who's from South Carolina, so you're more than likely you're going to be reelected as long as you don't have a strong primary challenger or a super strong Democratic opponent. More than likely,
or run off to Venezuela with your wife,
your mistress. Well, I hate to break it to you, but I'm pretty sure he's not into girls, which is fine. I'm just saying. But if I'm Lindsey Graham, I'm respected. I maybe chair a couple committees or looking to chair a couple committees. Why? At this point in my career, would I throw my weight behind someone who is clearly going down?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the opportunist. I don't know if he was looking for either Secretary of State or some position in the cabinet, right, or some big position, and he was hoping to ride the gravy train because he was going to be Donald's best friend. But I think he clearly misstepped, and he's obviously not going to get any position of power that he thought he was going to get.
And it seems blatant to me because Trump turns on everybody.
Yep. Everyone.
Literally everyone. The only people he hasn't turned on yet are his own kids. Yet.
Yeah. And there's still time.
There's plenty of time. Who knows?
He turned on his son-in-law.
He has?
He turned on Jared Kushner.
And it could be even like, that's what I'm saying. So if you're Lindsey, and I was making, the bigger point I was making is I'm any Republican in Congress. They're so scared of their base or his base,
yep,
but his base makes up such a small portion of the electorate now. And here's another thing: Democrats just won the House back, right? Made a lot of gains in governorships and state houses, but they won the House of Representatives back. So that tells you that the Zeitgeist is going against you right now. So you take all those factors, the country's moving away from your opinion. Most of the opinions that Donald Trump holds, a lot of them at least, are they poll as being very unpopular. The wall. People support DACA. People support transgendered people being in the military, even though most of this stuff gets shot down in court. Most Americans support this. So if you're like Lindsey Graham or Den Crenshaw or whatever that one-eyed guy's name is from Texas, I know he lost his eye in the war. I'm not trying to pull a Pete Davidson here. I know I can't think. I think his name's Den Crenshaw.
Yeah.
But if you're one of these guys, unless you absolutely agree with this president, why are you subscribing to unpopular opinions of a flailing, beleaguered, doomed presidency?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the president right now, and I think a lot of people are scared that if I don't do what the party wants, and if I vote outside the party, then I'm going to be alienated. And then in 2 years, when I'm up for re-election, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. It's easier said than done.
I agree.
And I'm not in office where I can do as I say, not as I do. But if I don't believe in something, then don't vote for it. But
right, and that's the thing. Like, Congress is co-equal to the White House, to the presidency.
Yeah.
So, like, it's disturbing to me, and this actually does go on both. This goes on party lines. Although I think that you would have maybe seen more. I feel like I can't say that, but I do feel like this goes both ways. Where people are the Congress, instead of viewing themselves as a co-equal branch, they're gonna kind of galvanize behind whoever their president is, and that's problematic because there's no. If the Democrats didn't win the House, there would have been no checks on the president for his entire first term.
Yeah.
This is a guy.
It's very possible he could get another Supreme Court pick if Ruth Bader Ginsburg keeps declining.
Yeah. Well, apparently she's doing better now, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? God, that's.
Yeah, I mean, he could select half the Supreme Court by the time it's all said and done.
Well, there's no constitutional amendment. You can actually, the president can appoint as many Supreme Court justices that we've held in this country for a long time. That like you can only appoint a Supreme Court justice to fill a vacancy.
Yeah.
But they can actually, like, the next president could assign 2 more justices to the court. To balance out and they are stolen. These are stolen picks. These at least one of them. One of the Neil Gorsuch.
Yeah, one of them is.
One of them stolen. He got this is a whole other story because they were there was a whole campaign to get what's his name to retire, the justice who retired that Kavanaugh took over for. There was a whole the Trumps from the time they got into office, they were working, not just the Trumps, but there's a whole organization to get this guy to resign so they could replace him with one of their guys. So one pick was definitely stolen.
Yep.
One pick was manipulated, I'll say.
I think Gorsuch was a great pick, though. I thought he was, he was qualified for it, and I think he's as moderate as you can find. Not as moderate, but he's better than Kavanaugh.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
Do you remember one thing from the Gorsuch hearings?
Not a single thing.
Yeah.
Not a
Kavanaugh
single
thing. People, stayed home from work and watched it.
Oh, it was like watching it was like the Olympics.
Yeah.
It was so exciting. It was so dramatic.
Yeah.
When I was listening to on my way to work, I was listening not to his confirmation, but to the testimony.
Yeah.
When he and Christine Blasey Ford, she went first and he went after. And I was listening to his. I watched hers partially on TV while I was at home, and she came across as very calm, collected, upset visibly, but for the most part had it together. And I listened to his on the radio on my way to work, and I thought there was something wrong with the radio because he was like crying and had these long pauses. Yeah. And I'm like, am I getting bad reception or something? He's like, I like bears. I like bears.
At 16 years old.
This guy is a Supreme Court justice now. Lindsey Graham's out there freaking out. This guy's a Supreme Court justice now with the help of the Senate. And he, I think, and here's the other thing about that. They fought so hard for him to be a Supreme Court justice. I remember asking my mom, like, why are they fighting so hard for this guy in particular? Like, he's so much problem. Well, he stated before how he feels about special counsels and the president being under investigation. So if this does get to the Supreme Court, I'm super concerned that they're not going to do enough about it.
Yeah.
Just
kind of blow it by and.
They're like, oh, well, or maybe not even take it up. Like, he's the president.
We tried hard.
Indicted. He can't be indicted. So how's the Republican Party return after Trump? When Trump eventually, whether he resigns, whether he's impeached, whether he gets voted out, whatever happens to him, if he has a heart attack from eating too many hamburgers in bed, what what happens after?
You got to find someone
for the country, but specifically for the Republican Party.
Yeah. You got to find someone that can do collateral damage, like clean up collateral damage. You got to find someone that can go to the allies. You got to find someone that can go shake hands. You almost need, I don't know how to say it, like a fundraiser, like someone that can go out, shake hands, apologize, and say, this isn't us. This is what we're going to do to fix it. And we need to put our heads down and go to work. It's someone like charismatic, like Obama. If there was a Republican Barack Obama who came along, and not apologized, but said, "This isn't us," and get behind me. It's a new day. It's a new Republican Party.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't see Republicans. I don't know. Here's the thing. If Texas goes blue, I know this seems like a liberal pipe dream, but we got close. Beto O'Rourke almost won. Yeah. If Texas goes blue after Trump, I don't see how a Republican wins office presidency for a generation. I feel like Trump might have turned people our age and younger, for the most part, are not going to be voting Republican in years to come.
But look who the Democrats have now. You have 71-year-old Nancy Pelosi, 70-year-old Chuck Schumer, 70-year-old Joe Biden. I mean,
don't get me wrong. I don't want them either. I like Nancy Pelosi. I think she's very effective. And I think that she did the right thing by limiting her. She gave herself a term limit. I think I like Joe Biden, but he's old as dirt.
Yeah, that was the big argument in 2008. Remember when John McCain ran? Everybody's like,
he's too old.
Going to make it through 8 years of a presidency.
He would have. We know that now.
Yeah, but Joe Biden, he would probably make it through 8 years, but he'd be almost 80 years old.
Yeah. Oh, he'd be. Yeah, you're right. Almost 80. Maybe over 80. Trump, if Trump got 2 terms, which he's not, he'll be over 80. But no, you're right. Elizabeth Warren's old. Bernie Sanders looks older than he probably is. But on the flip side, you also have Kamala Harris. You also have Beto O'Rourke. You also have Julian Castro, who's my personal favorite, who's running. So there's youth on that side. You have Tulsi Gabbard, who I think is a joke, but she's young as well. Someone else declared today, I can't remember who. Kamala Harris is supposed to declare over the Martin Luther King holiday. So there's some youth. There's a lot more youth and diversity on the Democrat side. And that's another thing that's going to hurt Republicans, because with the demographic changing so much, you're not going to want to see. We're not going to elect old white men to represent us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do
you know who Mia Love is from
Yeah.
Utah?
Yep.
Dude,
yep.
She's awesome.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan myself, but I respect her. According to Trump, she didn't take the embrace, which is why she lost. The embrace, like a mobster. But that's what they need. The thing about Steve King, I don't think he would have gotten as much trouble as he did if Tim Scott, is it Tim Scott?
Yeah.
Tim Scott didn't write that op-ed that he did. South Carolina's own Tim Scott.
Dude, Tim Scott's the bee's knees. He's someone who's level-headed, who can go out and talk to people. That's what he does. And that's what the Republican Party needs, is someone like him to step up to the plate and say, this isn't it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And see, the thing is, I think that anyone like that, they're afraid of, because they're afraid of how the base is going to respond.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. The majority of Republicans are Trump Republicans right now. I just don't see how it changes. And I'm concerned that if something happens, there's no way, unless he resigns, and even then, short of resigning, I don't think there's any way that his supporters accept his ouster from office.
No, I think it wouldn't be an uprising, but it'd be pretty close.
You'd have a bunch of rednecks in the street screaming and shooting things.
Yeah. It wouldn't be pretty, but it's what it needs. It's what needs to happen.
Yeah, the purge. Purge herself of this orange hamburger eating fiend. God. All right.
There was chicken sandwiches too.
Oh God. Just all the Wendy's. Literally looking at those. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. That picture, you may have seen it. There's a picture of like the White House staff like lighting candles. And they're looking all happy, and it's over like Big Macs. Cold Big Macs. 300 burgers.
Yeah.
Jesus. All right, let's stop talking politics. Let's switch it up. We have about 13 more minutes. Let's talk about one of our favorite subjects, music. I noticed, so last week or earlier this week, you sent me a list over of your favorite bands that you're listening to right now. Couldn't help but notice the Foo Fighters were on there.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Foo Fighters. But Queen. I didn't realize you were that big of a Queen fan.
Yeah, absolutely. The movie, I think, showed it to everybody, but I've been listening to Freddie Mercury and Brian May, and I think it was one of the first albums I bought. It's the Queen's Greatest Hits.
Which one? The blue one or the maroon one?
The maroon one.
Yeah, I think that might have been the first one I got too. Eventually I got both of them, but Queen, for when I was Queen's one of my favorite bands of all time. That's why I was so excited when I saw it on the list. I'm like, we could talk about Queen all freaking day. So you saw the movie?
I saw it twice. I think it was awesome. I think it really showed that how they were 4 different musicians that all came together. They didn't, Brian was the writer, but Freddie also had his input, and they fought and they argued, but they made it work, which was awesome. And they were one of the first bands. Like Bohemian Rhapsody was a 6-minute song on the radio. Which, with streaming music today, you don't realize like if that song was on the radio, you were stuck with it for 6 minutes, and it was such a out of the box thing to happen.
Oh yeah, at that time, pop songs were 2, maybe 2.5, 3 minutes long. Yeah. So you're right. It was rare. Like you maybe had like, Rush would get a song in there every once in a while that was long, but Queen, Queen did it in a much different way. And you're right, Bohemian Rhapsody. I can only imagine. I don't remember the first time I ever heard Bohemian Rhapsody because by the time we were coming up, it was already like a part of our culture.
Yep.
But I feel like if you're a kid in like the '80s and you put on that Queen record and you hear a Bohemian Rhapsody for the first time in its entirety, that shit blows your mind.
Yeah. And think about if you went up to any kid today and did the beat to "We Will Rock You,"
they know what it is.
They know what it is.
It's universal, yeah. And that's the thing about Queen is that they that's another thing. Queen, first of all, they transcend time. They're like Shakespeare. They're timeless. Their music is timeless. Like I listen to Queen 3 times a week when I'm cleaning up in the house.
Yeah.
I feel like the level of like showmanship and musicianship and charisma and everything that Freddie Mercury possessed, I just don't think we'll ever see that again.
I think that Live Aid concert was the best single concert of all time.
A lot of people say that.
His 20-minute performance, I think it'd be hard to argue, was the best 20-minute live performance of all time.
It's phenomenal. And a lot of they have a number of concerts that people considered the greatest concerts of all time, or at least in the count of greatest concerts, because they're so dynamic.
Yeah.
And they have so much, they put out so much material too while they were a band.
Yeah, you can listen to a song like Killer Queen and then 2 minutes later, you can listen to Under Pressure with David Bowie. And you're almost in 2 different.
And then exactly. And then you can listen to like the whole Night at the Opera, and like even their super obscure songs are like great.
Yeah.
If their B-sides are great.
I love. He plays God. They used to play "God Save the Queen" at the end of each concert, which was always fitting and funny.
It's a nice little touch.
Yeah.
Nice little touch. The Foo Fighters. Also awesome.
Happy birthday to Dave Grohl yesterday.
That was yesterday. He turned 50. That's
yeah.
crazy. A lot of the youngins probably don't know this. If there's any youngins listening to, I think I checked my demographic. I think most of my listeners are over the age of 25. But if there's anyone who's under the age of 25 who doesn't know this little tidbit, Dave Grohl was the drummer for Nirvana. I know I just blew some people's minds.
Yeah.
He was a drummer for Nirvana, and he definitely came a long way. I love the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
And the thing about the Foo Fighters, so I was on Spotify the other day. When I listen to rock and roll music, I listen to like old stuff. Listen to a lot of hip hop, a lot of jazz and stuff. But I don't listen to a lot of modern rock, because like a lot of it I don't think is that good.
Yeah.
The Foo Fighters are like a rock and roll band. One of the last ones, in my opinion.
Him and Taylor Hawkins, I mean, they've been together for 25 years, and they keep, they go on tour, and they still sell out 30,000 seat arenas every summer, and they're still going. It's some of the songs they have. It just, I grew up kind of in the 90s with 90s music, like Matchbox 20, the Goo Goo Dolls, the Foo Fighters,
right?
Die Blind, and it kind of shaped who you are.
Well, and it definitely does. And it's funny, all those bands that you named, they're the only ones who are still around and still going strong.
Yeah.
Still going strong. They're no Queen.
Yeah. What's your favorite Queen song?
Oh God. It depends. You know what? It depends on my mood. But the one that I've been playing the most lately is oh God, what's the name? Sometimes I get the feeling we were back in the old days.
Yeah.
Long ago. Oh, what's it? I can't think of that. I have to say, I feel like Cartman. I have to sing the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'll edit this all out. Days were endless, we were crazy, we were young. The sun was always shining, we just lived for fun. Sometimes I feel like lately I just don't know. The rest of my life, the days of our lives. That's what it's
days
called.
I
had to go to the whole song. Those were the days of our lives. I love that song.
Dude.
I'll like sit there and stare into space and get sad for a second every time I hear it.
You cry after this?
Yeah, now I have to listen to it before I go to bed and like sob gently and bark. My favorite pastime.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm happy. We had a good conversation. We talked about covering a lot of ground. I'm really happy that you came on. I like to do this. Recommend something for the people. It could be a book, it could be a movie, it could be some music, it could be anything.
Yeah. So I went to high school with a kid named Trevor Hall. Just came out with a new album, and
what's it called?
Moon and Sun is the best song on there. He's in India right now, and he goes over there every year, but he's kind of a like a jam band kind of guy. It's called It's called The Fruitful Darkness.
That's the name of the album?
Yeah, The Fruitful Darkness. It's incredible, just so positive. Just it really is uplifting, and I think it brings people together too. It's all about just be a collective whole, and don't hate. It's harder to hate people than it is to get along with them. And
yeah, I always say it takes more muscles to frown than to smile.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what people have told us our entire lives.
I like to think it is. It's hard. Yeah. Just be nice to people, I guess. It's kind of
decent, at least. You can go your way.
Yeah.
So Trevor Hall, The Fruitful Darkness. The best song in your opinion is Moon and Sun. Is this his first album?
No, he has a bunch.
Thought so. I feel like I've heard of him before you told me about him.
Yeah, there was one called Chapter of the Forest, and he had a song in there called The Lime Tree. And there's another really popular song called Green Mountain State. Okay. It's
I definitely I definitely know who Trevor Hall is. I remember now I'm looking up as we're talking, and now I remember. But I did not realize that you went to high school with him, and I did not realize that he was from Hilton Head.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He used to play at like a little hole in the wall bar when he was, already like growing up, and we'd go listen just because he was our buddy, and then all of a sudden, he's got 25 million listens on Spotify, and he had 75 million listens last year. Yeah, so it's cool.
So y'all check out Trevor Hall, The Fruitful Darkness. Name of the album is Moon and Sun, as recommended by Chris Schramm. I'm going to throw a recommendation. I'm reading a book right now called The Feast of the Goat. I think you would like this too. It's about this. It takes place in the Dominican Republic in like the 30s, and it's about this general who is like a dictator and rules with an iron fist, and it describes him. And then there's a coup against him, and they kill him. And then it describes what happens to the country after he goes away, and how you kind of replace brutal dictatorship with your form of democracy, and how that might not necessarily be much better in some cases. It's a really, really fascinating read. It's called The Feast of the Goat. The Feast of the Goat. I'm trying to remember who it's by. Mario. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up because I have the whole world in my hands. Mario Vargas Llosa. So I would definitely check that out. The Feast of the Goat. Check out Trevor Hall, The Fruitful Darkness, and Chris, thanks for coming, man.
Dude, thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Anytime. We'll definitely have you back sometime in the future. And, be good, buddy. Love you, man.
You all right. Well, you too.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Whoa. It's that day one shit, nigga. Yeah. Whoa. Young. Forever in the day in this motherfucker. Hey, yeah. Young Jack Frost dripping with the Max sauce. I can see a whole future with the mask off. Got a rooting for the team, that's a mascot. Caught a blaze, I'm a young Dak Prescott. Caught a blaze like my first name Colin. First date, penny still falling. Water, it is what it gotta be. Every single day I wake up, I hit the lottery. You ain't got a lot of me. A lot of trees up inside of me. A lot of G's to the side of me. Riding with me silently. I'm everything that you try to be. You niggas hate what you gotta see. I'm out of space at your galaxy. Can't conversate with your salary. These niggas fake, but they follow me. I wear your face every Halloween to make the ladies scream. You niggas make me sick, you little bitch. Yeah. Fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch. Fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch. Fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch. Fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch.
I'm coming with the heat, but I ain't talking about the sun. More like spitting fire, Dragonland is where I'm from. Standing over beats, I kill like damn what I become. I'm the man, I'm the bullet that's firing out the gun. You're the target in my path, the battler already won. The big bad wolf in your favorite horror movie. I'm the big man on screen, killing them black hoodies. There's nobody in my class, everybody playing hooky. Who you know in real life that can think so deep? Got to change my name to Anchor cause I spit so deep. I resemble an addict that is predicted to snap when he can't handle his habit with just any automatic, and I'm rabid, ready to infect the world slowly. My mind is so sharp, even a sword quotes me. I ain't got a ticket, but I want a taco. Extra avocado, it's tomato.
Yeah, fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch. Fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch. Fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch. Fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch.
No ticket, no taco. Like who gonna stop you? Mi grandma black beef, jump up like luchador. Mi amo es Yoko, tu ponte es pollo. Follea carreras, you get flesh like royals, dude. I know why you take issue, cause we made a different tissue. The shit is in my fabric, laser focused like a missile. Despite your barrage, your garbage, your boy keep dropping balls that are nasty like bathroom stalls. Young Einstein, but more shine, you'll stay stuck in rewind. No games, this is real life, you're more like Real Housewives and father figure. Never gonna turn out next to cheese when you ask. I pull up at the table, be like, please. Why you got so many issues with me? I stay eating, but I'm on a diet, see? It's only rappers I consume when I step up in the room. Bless the verse and the food like the diocese.
Fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch. Fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch. Fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch. Fuck you talking about? You don't get a taco if the ticket ain't printing out, bitch.